Fatima and Paul spend the night together after ZAC's plan to get her to come home does not work. Fatima's parents start to intervene because the breakup is just too much, and Angela is now Team ZAC. What's good, y'all? It's your good sis Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another Zatima video. And in this video, I will be breaking down season 2, episode number 15. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so you don't miss out on any of my Zatima content and conversations. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all a real quick disclaimer because this is gonna be a very completely hinged, not an unhinged take. If you would like my unhinged take, if you would like my initial response, my less than calm response to what we saw play out in episode 15 but also 16, then you can check out the most recent episode of Our Sister's Keeper, which will be linked in the description box down below, as well as the cards above. It is a live after show with myself and Allie Nick official, and we talk about the episodes after they premiere, both of Zatima as well as Sisters. And that happens like in the moment, so I'm a little bit more hyped up. I'm recording this a little bit late, so I've had plenty of time to think. I've rewatched episodes multiple times at this point. I'm very, very calm. I'm gonna tell y'all what I think, and I'm gonna get in and get out. These episodes left a lot to be desired, in my opinion, but it also did the job that I think they were supposed to do in reference to setting up ZAC for this redemption arc that he does not deserve. So let's talk about it. Before we jump into this video, I have to let you know that this video was created during the 2023 WGA and SAG after strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, the series being covered here wouldn't exist. Through the duration of these strikes, my company and I stand in solidarity with both unions and are refusing paid opportunities presented by struck companies such as the 8 major Hollywood studios. Content created on Erica Vane platforms are independent of any struck company and not created in promotion of said company. Articles, videos, and audio posts are created in critique of the media in support of the artists who created it. It is important that you, the audience, know that these strikes are a result of corporate greed. The writers and actors have been victimized by major studios for quite some time, and the time is now to demand fair pay and working conditions, standardized practices across streaming business models, and other terms that will ensure the pipeline for new aspiring creators remains open and viable for years to come. At this time, neither union is calling for a boycott of any television or film content. If you would like to support either or both unions, consider donating to strike funds, walking local picket lines, and using your social media platform to amplify messages delivered daily by union members and leaders. Links to official websites and more information can be found in the description box down below. Videos explaining both strikes and continual strike news can be found on Erica Vane TV. Now let's get into it. Now, at the top of this episode, we get to see ZAC finishing the wet dream that he's having, that Fatima actually came to the duplex after he showed his ass last episode and told Fatima that he was going to leave the door open for her and he was going to be waiting and ready. And we are left with like a little cliffhanger of like, oh, they're actually sleeping together. It's like intercut between Fatima not being able to go all the way with Paul, but then ZAC and Fatima having a very spicy moment, and come to find out it was literally just a dream. And ZAC wakes up the next morning. He's trying to call Fatima. She's not answering. He winds up calling Angela to see if Fatima is there and to try to get additional answers. And she's like, listen, when she's ready to talk to you, she's ready to talk to you. Until then, you're gonna be all right. And I was just so happy. I will say that the one thing I was happy about with this episode is that this was not the truth. This was not real, because I feel like if Fatima would have went and slept with ZAC that night, she would have undone a lot of the work that she's already done in like establishing clear boundaries and helping to reconstruct the parameters of their relationship. She is not near the finish line at all by any means, because ZAC is actually not doing the work that he thinks he's doing to get them back to a better place. But if she would have slept with him in this moment, she would have completely set herself back, and honestly she would have relegated herself to a relationship where she is not met with what she needs, let alone everything that she wants and deserves. So I was so happy that that wasn't the case. Now, at Angela's house. Fatima is actually waking up in bed with Paul, and come to find out they didn't actually go all the way. He was able to hold her. She was crying out for ZAC in the middle of the night and basically still missing him, and she wakes up with a little bit of melancholy, like she's very solemn and sad. And we get a little brief moment of her talking with Paul, and Paul, I think that this is the first part of the episode where I felt like the dialogue got a little bit sloppy, and this is a comment specifically to the writer, Mr. Tyler Perry, because I do feel like I got what he was trying to do. He was able to have Paul clean it up towards the end, but it was very sloppy in what he said. Like for Paul to make the choice to say, I feel like this is one-sided. You know that this is one-sided. She's actively in the middle of a unraveling of her life from this man that she loves, a decoupling, which is not necessarily an easy thing, and you know this. So for him to say that, it was 100% understood of like why Fatima was taken aback of like, well, then you could just go. Like, I can't, I don't know what you want from me. I can't give you anything more than what I'm giving you right now. I'm trying my damn best. And again, Paul was able to clean it up because he's like, oh, well, you know, I can just tell I'm falling for you. And it's a little bit harder to navigate the more I fall in, which makes sense. But to have Tyler Perry write it so that he basically makes a point of like, okay, girl, when you gonna start reciprocating? It's like, no time damn soon. You either here to help me through it, or you gonna have to circle the block back after I figure it out my damn self. But regardless, I have no energy, no effort for anybody but myself. That's including ZAC. That's including you. Like, none of you niggas are going to get any prioritization from Fatima, and you shouldn't right now, because she needs to figure out what she needs to do and wants to do for herself. She needs to figure out what happiness looks like. She needs to figure out her way back to herself after she has spent these few weeks, these very, very few weeks in this relationship with ZAC, completely basically restructuring her life and handing over the reins and basically making her whole priority and livelihood about ZAC and what he needs and what he wants. Like, this is the time now for her to be separate from him. And even if she is dating somebody else, she's not at a place where she has the capacity to now do that for somebody else. It's her turn to do that for herself. You either going to be okay with it or you're not. Regardless, like, she still got to do it. So at the end of the conversation, Paul like cleans it up, as I mentioned, and he understands that. I just didn't like how this intimate moment that could have been something that further set a strong foundation for Paul and Fatima, or at least the potential for Paul and Fatima, I feel like was mishandled. And I'm saying set the foundation because Paul and Fatima are not going to be able to launch anything successful by way of a relationship right now. Fatima is still too emotionally and mentally wrapped up with ZAC, right? But depending on her choices that she makes and depending on how they interact in this very vulnerable time, the seeds are getting planted for the possibility of something else. Whether it's better or worse, that is something that, you know, will play out, and we'll see when it actually comes to be, or when she decides to explore it a little bit more. But just planting the seeds that, you know, Paul is a potential option, this is a crucial moment for that. So even if ZAC and Fatima get back together, which we know that they will, because we've already seen the first half of season 6 of Sisters, which happens after this, right? I think I wanted Tyler Perry to be a little bit more intentional with the establishing of Paul and Fatima's relationship, and whether they stay together or keep dating or not. I wanted it to be a more solid foundation built, so that when Fatima and ZAC are going through additional things, she has in the back of her mind like, oh wait, this other thing. And that to me just sets it up for really great television to explore. But, you know, who am I? Now, for me, the episode continued on being sloppily done, because moments after Paul leaves out of the house, you know, he makes a note about spotting a leak in Angela's roof and that he'll fix it for free, just to tell her to give him a call. And some people on the live was like, don't trust Angela because she seems like she's gonna jump Paul's bones. I don't necessarily feel like she gonna do that. She one of those, but you know, I get it. She's definitely not the best of best friends. Like, she is definitely not in the good pile when it comes to like Fatima, or actually any of the friends within the Sisters universe. What I was saying about handling the story soppily or lazily is when Paul is leaving, there's like literally a couple of moments in exchange with him and Angela, then he exits. And before he's all the way out the door, Fatima is coming downstairs in a new dress, stilettos that are sky high, makeup beat down. And it's just like the scene prior, we just saw her like get frustrated, throw her head back, and lay on the bed as if she was not about to jump up and get ready. Now all of a sudden she's up ready to go. And I know that Tyler like films fast and all of that, but it's like little things like that, at least for me as a consumer, as an audience member, it takes me out. It creates a really huge disconnect that allows for me to get pulled out of the world that they're creating for us. So it did, like, little moments like that also don't help. So the dialogue is one thing, but little moments like that just create a space for you to not actually be invested. Now over on at the duplex, ZAC is now on his little Peloton, whatever, because he has a workout bike now. It's so interesting how I know as a writer, I get it, because you want to find new and inventive things for your characters to do within different scenes. But it has been very interesting to me to see or have us discover all of these new things, these supposed hobbies or whatever that ZAC turns to that we have never really seen him do before. Now, granted, we have seen him ride that damn bike, stalking Karen up and down Atlanta. But when did y'all get a damn exercise bike? When did this was going to become the thing? Like last season, it was you, Tony, and Nate at the boxing gym, which makes sense because your homeboys could have called you up and y'all could done this. But even this, in this moment, it just felt like it was something to do, not necessarily something that this character would rely on or would fall to. And again, it's just, to me, indicative of just how the story can be rushed, how it's kind of sloppily being put together, and how it's not as intentional as it probably should be when characters like ZAC and Fatima are going through such tumultuous times that are truly character defining. Now, Tony and Nate show up, and Nate is able to reveal that it was Belinda that actually created a dating profile. But like, we didn't been there, done that. We already know. And I mentioned this on the live, I think, as well as my breakdown from last week. We don't actually care that you're able to confirm this. This is $1 late and a day late and $1 short, because nobody cares about Belinda. We've already thrown her away. And for Nate to be just arriving at this point, but then you're still conspiring with Deja and conspiring with Belinda to break them up, like, this gets you no passes. This doesn't help you out. ZAC, another small thing that you could do to show and actually be doing the work and to show that you're moving in the right direction is to limit yourself from actually interacting with Nate. There should be a no contact happening right now with you and Nate. You already knew that Belinda created this. You already knew that Nate has been conspiring to break y'all up. Like, you already know how he feels. He has nothing but negative things to say about Fatima, and you supposedly want her back. You supposedly want to do all the work, and you supposedly are going to utilize therapy and do what you need to do to change y'all's life and get it back on track. Meanwhile, you're still engaging in these goofy ass conversations with your little raggedy ass homeboys that have nothing to offer you or your relationship. Again, not doing the damn work. It's just a bunch of arbitrary stuff happening with no real necessary need for it, I guess, for lack of better words. And then the same thing over at Belinda's house. Angela shows up because she wants to know, did Belinda actually create the dating profile? Again, a bunch of stuff happening that we don't even need to know as an audience because we've already figured it out on our own. Angela's able to call her on it. She winds up copping to it. I don't know how Angela actually gets this information, because she's like, she didn't heard. Who did you didn't damn heard from? Aside from them mentioning it last night, you didn't get no additional information, and Nate literally went over to Zac's house. But again, I don't even care to think about how you actually got the confirmation and then backed her into a corner so that she can admit it. Belinda been trash. Belinda always gonna be trash. That's it. That's all. Like, I appreciate Angela in this moment saying that she's taking the side of right, but when Belinda's like, you gonna pick her over me, I would have been like, you damn right, because you're raggedy and we're done. That's it. Now down at the damn law firm, because Fatima's at work, she gets served with papers for Deja finally. So we've been having this looming over them for quite a while, and Deja has been thrown out to ZAC. Did she get served yet? Did she get served yet? So we finally get to see Fatima served in this episode, and it's moments before her mom shows up to take her to lunch. And that lunch, I'm not even gonna hold you, I think that lunch probably frustrated me the most, because while I appreciate Fatima getting additional insight on her mom and dad's relationship, how her mom felt about her dad, and possibly the motives behind her mom having such a stark reaction to ZAC, I don't actually appreciate, and again, I feel like it's lazy writing, I don't appreciate the mom making a complete 180 without any real tangible evidence or reasoning for doing so. For her mom to be like, I don't want to be the reason that you and ZAC break up. Why not? Because 2 nights ago you were perfectly fine with being a reason. You were actually wanting to scream it from the mountaintops. What has changed? And it's not that you remember that you loved her thug ass daddy. Like, that has not changed. And while I don't think that her mom still needed to pursue as aggressively, like trying to break them up or point out all the negative in ZAC, I just don't feel like it's realistic for 2 days later her to be here now advocating and trying to drag her daughter to the dinner table to hook back up with a guy that she barely damn knows. And yes, she might have jumped to conclusions and judged him sight unseen or whatever, or barely seen, but you also had some very interesting first impression things to go off of, so you didn't pull this assessment of ZAC out of your ass and just decide to feel a negative way about him. The first time that you actually get to meet him, he's carrying a goddamn stripper next door neighbor. Like, let's be real. And again, I feel like this is lazy writing because it's not accounting for all of that. Like, her mother, to be a woman who pulled herself up by her bootstraps, is from the hood but has developed a refined taste and a refined life and is just moving a little bit different. I would think that she would have also accumulated a little bit of brains. And to me, how we saw her mom speak and behave at this lunch, it just completely negated all that she had known and all that you would expect a woman of her position and life experience to communicate with. Now all of a sudden she's unequivocally on ZAC's side, and she's just hell-bent on getting ZAC and Fatima back together, yet you have yet to see your daughter happy in this relationship. You have yet to see the fruits of what the hell you're fighting for, but you believe that he's working hard, you believe that she's happy, like you believe all of these things, meanwhile you have no actual evidence for it. And also, mind you, Fatima's not mad at her, so it's not even like she's being backed into a corner because her daughter's not speaking to her because of how she acted. Like, you and Fatima have no problems. She is going through a breakup, and yes, she's sad, but guess what? Kids fall down when they ride and bike, scrape their knees, they get hurt, and guess what? All you can do is say it's gonna be okay, because it's gonna be okay. You don't have to drag her and a raggedy ass boyfriend into a damn dinner and try to force them to get back together into a relationship where your daughter is not actually being met and equally yoked as she deserves. And then for Tyler to give her mama the lines of like, she just wonders what would happen if she would not have left Fatima's father, and if she could have changed him and fixed him and helped him. Fuck that. Okay, like, F that. Absolutely not. And yes, some of us have been in those situations and we feel that, but that is not our responsibility. We cannot fix other people's lives, period. We can assist, we can provide support, we can provide a soft place to land. However, being able to recoup and fix and mend up and bob the builderisha as, like, being able to completely reconstruct somebody else's life while they're actively working against themselves in their own best interest is not something that we should be doing, and we should be training our minds to try to calculate and figure out how. And I think that this is the point where I was the most disappointed in Fatima's mama, and now I can't take anything that she says seriously, because why in the hell would you want your daughter to walk back into a situation where she has to give it everything of herself, receive little to nothing back, all for maybe a pat on the back, but to be able to fix some broke, or I guess that's not broke anymore, so I can't call him that, to fix this boy's life? For why? Who is he to y'all? Nobody. And honestly, it's wild to me to sit and watch a mother advocate for a daughter to completely just lose herself in a man that the mother don't even goddamn know. And while the mom is over here working Fatima, stepdaddy is over there working ZAC. And this also pissed me off because ZAC is so calling Fatima, come over so we can have sex and I can make it all right because we gonna have sex under the rain and then everything gonna be all fixed because that's all I know how to do. Yo potential father-in-law calls you and says, I want to have dinner with you and my daughter and we gonna figure this shit out. And you tell him no. Meanwhile, you're saying that you're doing everything that you can to get the girl back. Everything that you can only looks like you whipping out your little Peter. Everything that you can looks like you bringing Connie down to her favorite damn place. Everything that you can looks like the bare goddamn minimum, which is what y'all's relationship looks like. And you want somebody to take you seriously, ZAC? You want somebody to believe that you're doing the work? Where? At every opportunity when you're given a chance to do something different than what you typically would do or to actually do the work, you choose not to. I have no sympathy for ZAC right now because he literally is getting away with murder and Tyler Perry is letting his ass do it. And then by the end of the episode, he think he got a one up on Paul because Paul is the construction worker, lead, developer at this property that Val is trying to sell. Bryce really wants to buy, and then come to find out Val is calling Paul honey. Tyler Perry almost got me. I'm so glad I didn't film this review before I started episode 16, which we're gonna go ahead and jump into that right now so we can keep this conversation going because you had me and I was very angry. Let's go click this video right here to get in the breakdown for episode 16.